This is the Uprising Revival. Welcome to today's show. I have to be very careful because I tend to get strikes on YouTube for bullying celebrities. I've gotten it for Jared Leto before. I recently got a strike for bullying Mariah Carey. I mean, you can't make some of this stuff up, that they're protecting celebrities from criticism, especially when they openly mark their bodies with tattoos of the occult, or they openly admit to being involved in weird, bizarre rituals in Hollywood. But I guess it's bad to call that stuff out, even though they're openly admitting to it, because that's the world that we live in now. They can openly admit the evil, wicked things that they're doing, but if you criticize it and you call it out for what it is, it's hate speech. So that's the New World Order. But look who's back in the spotlight, and I'll do my best not to hurt Madonna's feelings, but Madonna is back because Madonna announced that Madonna, because I don't know what pronouns Madonna uses these days. So Madonna is going to be touring again because nobody cares and nobody should or does want to see the 64-year-old in concert. But of course, as she announces this, she has to take another shot at Jesus Christ, our King of Kings. Why? Well, they only talk about Jesus and mock Jesus and the disciples and mock Scripture because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. They go out of their way to mock Christianity, yet people don't see what they're really doing, because there's a spiritual war going on here. It's the wicked versus the saved. It's the followers of Christ versus these evil demonic things. So, of course, Madonna comes out, pays homage on the cover to the Jesuits, to the Sacred Heart, because, well, that's who she's working for, or hey, and, of course, has to do a photo shoot with deplorable images mocking the Last Supper, because this is what we see them do all the time. On the red carpet, mocking Jesus. How many times have we seen people like Jared Leto dress up like Jesus? How many times have we seen Madonna dress up as the you-know-what of Babylon? How many times have we seen all of it? How many times have we seen her betray the Baphomet, right, during her Super Bowl performance? Or even just wearing the Illuminati pyramid on her coat, or doing the all-seeing eye, or doing the 666 over eyes. But we're all conspiracy nuts, remember? Because when things are right in front of our faces, we're not supposed to notice it. And if we do notice it and call it out, it's hate speech, and it's a conspiracy still, because the people out there worship their false idols. People out there worship the ground that these things walk on. And Madonna, of course, on the cover of the magazine, it says the icon issue. Icon, idol, right? That's what these people worship. And people are, oh, look at Madonna. Madonna's back. I can't wait to see Madonna on tour. Oh my gosh, because they have no lives. And they're literally caught up in worshiping these fallen demons. So the Queen of Pop has been trending for the length and breadth of her legendary career. So I was a little surprised that she sent timelines into a frenzy yesterday with the announcement of the Celebration Tour, set to kick off this summer. And wait till you hear what I'm going to get to in this article about why she chose to do the Last Supper. But I'll get to it in a second, because it's a common theme that we hear from these feminist females in Hollywood who are brainwashing everyone into thinking God's a woman, even though the Bible openly talks about God being a father and a man. But we don't have any, because everything's a blurred line now. So we don't even know what a man and woman are apparently anymore. So set to kick off this summer, the global trek sees the superstar toast 40 years on top. To further trumpet news of the must-see extravaganza, the 64-year-old covers the European edition of Vanity Fair's Icon Edition. The diva's penchant for stirring up controversy clearly is intact, as she once again draws on religious imagery, specifically the Last Supper, centering herself as the nucleus figure. In the accompanying interview, the singer talks about her illustrious career, humble beginnings, and her take on religion. More from Her Majesty after the jump. She says, it was a suggestion from Luigi and Lango, and I thought it was a very interesting point of view, a way of instilling all-female energy in a world traditionally imagined and represented only by men. Well, Madonna, hate to break it to you, but Jesus was a man. He was the Son of Man, and the disciples were men. So when you come out and you talk like that, in a world where we have censorship, you would think that this would be hate speech against a specific group, right? But the only group you're allowed to mock, the only group you're allowed to depict Jesus as a female and the disciples as female and mock the faith and the belief in Jesus Christ, it's the only thing you can mock. It's the only thing that they'll let you mock in a world of censorship. Any other religion, it's cancel culture, it's hate speech, it's censorship, it's potential lawsuits. It's all these types of things that we constantly see surrounding people like me and you, the listener of this channel. But they can get away with that stuff, and they can come out and say, oh, all female energy. Like, we haven't heard this before. We had Ariana Grande, God is a woman, right? Blasphemy after blasphemy, blurring the lines, confusing people because they're getting people ready for this new age spirituality, which would be worship of the Antichrist. They're getting people prepared for that. Madonna has been a high-ranking witch in Hollywood for as long as anyone can remember. And I mean, you could see it coming out of Madonna. So she says, so I turned the tables, and I like the idea of playing with a contradiction, which was not a contradiction at all. No, really. He said, I think it's important to have a pattern of rituals and a spiritual life. But I also think that religion without understanding, without knowledge, without curiosity and inclusiveness cannot be considered religion. Religion is not joining an exclusive or extremist group. So now she's labeling Christians, even though the word religion makes me cringe. I'm sure it makes most of you cringe. It's just how they define Christianity, and they try to make it sound like a cult. But, she's saying that these are the trigger words that they always use, right? Inclusiveness, extremist groups. So this is what they're going to continue to do with Christianity, is try to depict Christians as extremists. This ties into the whole conservative movement, right? This is what we get lumped into. And I say we, the majority of you who listen to my channel are not conservatives, are not believers in this fake republic that we live in. We realize, a lot of us, I realize it, you might not, or you might not want to believe that, which is perfectly fine. You're entitled to believe what you want to believe, that the Republican Party is just as rigged as the Democratic Party. I mean, even the stuff we see at the World Economic Forum, we have Republicans showing up there. None of these people are nationalists. None of these people care about our country. That's just the way it is, right? But they want to depict what they call conservative now. In a year or two, they'll be saying Christian extremists. They're just transitioning people into that. And that's what it's going to turn into. So she says, religion is respecting other religions. Oh, is it? Because it doesn't look like you're respecting Christianity by mocking the King of Kings, and God will, this is just, we know God's not going to be mocked, but some of the stuff that these things do are just, like, you could see the pictures, right? Like, they're almost depicting cannibalism in a sense, with how, like, they're, the way that they're eating and just, like, all over each other. It's just nauseating. It's just absolutely nauseating. But it's okay for them to not respect Christianity, but they're saying religion is about respecting other religions, right? So again, let's make that clear. To them, it's about respecting all other fake religions that worship deities and demons. Those are safe, and you don't make fun of them or say anything about them or mock them, but only Christianity, right? How hypocritical is this? But we live in a world now where these people can say anything and do whatever they want, and they're not held accountable for their own words. Anybody with a brain should read that and say, well, this doesn't look like you're respecting Christianity by mocking the King of Kings, Jesus Christ, because they're not. She goes on to say, religion is encouraging people to understand what they believe and to study what they believe instead of adhering to a dogma, which without study and understanding would be empty and sterile. My relationship with religion today, cultivate my spiritual practices that apply to me and don't have to apply to everyone. And I think everyone should do that because I find it important to pray and have a connection with the soul, with the spiritual force, call it what you will. Well, we know what she's connecting with, demonic entities and dark, disturbing rituals. She talks about rituals and the importance to have a pattern of rituals and a spiritual life, right? Again, this is New Age doctrine that they're transitioning our society into. She says many times, and I don't think it's possible otherwise, I don't think it's possible to be an artist without feeling broken or hurt. You're a human. You're a human being, and so is life. There is no life without that feeling. Madonna is just, I can't even continue to read some of this stuff about motherhood. Deplorable is the word that I think everybody should use when you view some of these images. The fact that, we can only imagine how much adrenochrome Madonna's on these days to even be out there still performing at 64. But I have to say, the adrenochrome doesn't look like it's working too well because, Buzz's girlfriend. You know what I mean? Not that Madonna was ever a looker, but, I got to be careful. I don't want to hurt Madonna's feelings anymore. But, this is Madonna mocking Jesus Christ, right? This is okay. This is acceptable on YouTube. This is acceptable in Vanity Fair. This is acceptable in all the liberal media because the only enemy to them that exists is Jesus Christ because they work and worship Satan. So it makes sense when you're awake and you realize why they're doing it, but it doesn't make sense to people like me that more people aren't waking up and seeing this, that it's just a target on Jesus. You don't see anything about any other gods in any other religion ever. And if any of us say boo, if any of us say that men can't have babies, we lose our channels, we lose our right to speech. You lose your Twitter accounts, you lose your Facebook accounts. That's how insane this has gotten. But this isn't hate speech, right? Oh, you have to respect other people's religions. But I'm going to dress up as Jesus, and I'm going to depict the disciples as women, and I'm going to make a mockery of it with the Last Supper and have everybody just drooling over the food, looking like gluttons. Yeah, that's no big deal. And then I'm going to have everyone worshiping me, Madonna. But don't be offended by it. Because if you're a Christian and you're offended by it, well, then you're just a party pooper. You're just, you're taking it too seriously. That's what they tell us, right? But then they tell us that men have babies. I mean, the stuff that goes on in this world, it is absolute chaos and insanity. Mentally depraved world that we're living in. So not a surprise again that Madonna, who's openly a witch, has come out and just once again attacked Jesus. But what's the narrative? If you read Twitter and you read Vanity Fair, oh, Madonna's recreating her edginess. She used to be so edgy in the 80s. Well, look, Madonna's being edgy again because she's mocking Jesus. Instead of the story being, all right, we live in a sensitive culture, right? A sensitive society where everybody's being censored for hurting people's feelings, especially targeting quote unquote religious groups or, groups like the LGBT, like you're not allowed to target these things, but you could, of course, apparently target Christianity all you want because every celebrity in Hollywood seems to do it. But it's going to get to a point sooner or later, they're going to have to account for their sins and the trumpets are going to sound. And I'm not going to feel one bit of pity for these people. In fact, I'm looking forward to it, especially the ones like Madonna who herd society through social engineering into depraved, just deplorable behavior. And on top of that, constantly mocking the King of Kings. So when their time comes and the trumpets sound, good luck. They're going to seek death and not be able to find it. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.